Hey everybody, me and Matthew are back. Yes, I know we're making two videos in less than a month. We're almost back regular on YouTube after 5 years absence, but it's just been way too entertaining the last couple of weeks to ignore this. Um, our friend Gary, better known as G-Man, apparently has had some issues with the debate to the point of he's made no less than five separate videos now in response to what was said almost 2 weeks ago. So what we figured would be fair is we address his concerns, and of course, me and Matthew always will steel man as much as possible. And then from that point, we're going to, let's say, have a little bit more fun because it's just, it's too hilarious not to enjoy the antics of our friend here. Matthew, take it and give me your 2 cents on why we're here tonight.
We're here because I had so much fun in the debate. I mean, I saw a lot of people complaining in the comments about how can you guys possibly stand listening to that and dealing with that. I was just talking to somebody earlier today in the comments. He said I wouldn't have been able to do that. How could you stand listening to that nonsense for so long? And I enjoy it. He's funny. Gary is genuinely funny. He should be a household name like uh
Seinfeld?
no, I was thinking more like Gary Coleman.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
So
He should be a household name like a Gary Coleman or a
you had mentioned
Hervé
earlier,
Villechaize.
you had mentioned earlier before going online, it's a shame that he doesn't understand just how entertaining and how laughable he is. Because I mean, I think you're right. He could make a living doing this as a comedian. So what we're going to do is, guys, we're going to take some clips out of some of the videos that he's posted. The first video he left up for less than 24 hours. It was literally right after the debate. Luckily, we had some people that were on the spot and captured it pretty quickly and downloaded it before Gary could take it down and hide it. So some of his antics in there are pretty entertaining. But again, we want to start with steel manning the arguments. But the main thing is just watch his demeanor and watch just how fired up and upset he is because of reasons I have no idea. So Matthew, are you back? There you are. All right. So
Yep.
all right. So
My
I'm gonna go
wife
ahead
was
and
just
play
getting
this.
home from work and I was just respecting her privacy.
Very nice. All right. So we'll go ahead and play this first one. It's about 30 seconds long, and he is demanding. He's demanding things again from us. So we'll definitely cow down and make sure that we listen to his demands.
For just one more thing to add, for people to understand how entertaining G-Man is, when you're watching him, you should imagine him on helium. And that's the way I hear when he talks. Anyway.
Until I see somebody objectively talk about what happened on Modern Day Debate regarding their response to the arguments that was being made, as soon as you come in my room and you say you're an atheist, you're a racist. Period. Period. Especially if you support the theory of evolution. You can think drag, you can think negation of P, and you can think Max Steel. Racism.
So Matthew, we are apparently now the reason that every atheist on the planet is racist. I mean, I didn't know
that follows logically.
Exactly. Now we've got to be fair. Drag gets a third of that credit as well. So we've got a big job tonight, man. We better make sure that we do this because I don't want to be the reason for the downfall of atheism through racism.
We have to take one for the team and listen to him some more and address his quote unquote points as he makes them. And I would just like to point out for anybody who hasn't watched the debate that first of all, when we were approached for the debate, it was going to be about, is atheism racist? And then we found out that it was about, is evolution racist? And then it went from the scientific method employed towards biology being racist, towards social Darwinism and eugenics, towards philosophy, and it just went back and forth. I think anytime Gary started to, it's like a boxer who's protecting their face and then protecting their body and their face and their body. He was trying to protect from being cold cocked in too many places in a row to stay on his feet during the debate. Anyway, the reason that I think it's also a tactic to try to make it look like, as I was holding up the card that said Gish Gallop, make it look like we're not answering his questions by the textbook Gish Gallop of flooding the person you're debating against with questions and points.
Yep,
so
exactly.
He tried that, but I don't think there's a single thing that he said in the debate that we didn't take care of.
Oh, and we'll make sure we do tonight, so it's not going to matter.
Yeah, but this will actually be as if G-Man could have a coherent conversation.
Yeah, and what's funny is if you notice, the only way we can do that is to only take 30-second sound bites from his ass, because any more than that, no one can listen to him long enough to listen to what he's saying.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next one.
Apparently, it's not an important topic to the atheist community. And the two people that I debated was Negation the P and Matthew Steele. Neither one of these guys took this topic seriously at all. Now, you people do not take this topic seriously at all. You people are the reason why racism is prevalent here in the United States. Because of your secular humanistic worldviews and your teachings that there are superior races. There's only one race, and that is the human race.
Amen.
Period. And there is a reason why Negation of Cowardness and Matthew Buffoon didn't want me to bring that up in there. The racism.
Okay, so that's like 4 things to reply to there, but you go ahead. You take a couple and I'll take a couple.
Well, honestly, I was only listening to one of them, so I'm glad you picked up on 3 more, because all I got out of that was, we're not taking racism seriously, which is, if he knew who we both were and what we do in our free time, it's the most laughable thing. And I got a little heated in the debate because of him making those racist statements. And, literally, that day I had been doing some stuff to try to help, but he thinks that because we're laughing at the subject. No, we're laughing at Gary, just like everybody else on the internet, just like everybody that turns into his channel. I think he's got, 13,000 people or something subbed. I think he'd be hard pressed to find 1,000 of those that aren't there just for the lulz. He's a joke, and again, we're here laughing at him, not the arguments.
Right. That's
here. Go ahead. Sorry.
That is the point to take away from this. That probably, we assume that everybody knows what we know and that they're all familiar with them like we are. If it wasn't clear from the debate that we had with Gary, we've known him for 7-8 years.
Yep.
Just about the whole time he's been on YouTube, we've known him that long, and there's a lot of history there. Ned has debated him at least on 2 other occasions, and it was embarrassing to watch.
I know.
But of course,
I was embarrassed. I mean, I've been embarrassed every time now. So
yeah.
It's scary how good he is at just making me look foolish.
Well, obviously, yeah. Just the reason that nobody takes him seriously is because he is such a threat. His intellect is just it's so intimidating.
Yeah,
it's scary. I'm getting chills just thinking about how smart he is.
Well, I got to tell you, I had the honor of meeting Neil deGrasse Tyson one time, and I got to tell you, I confused him for G-Man at one point. It's amazing. I know Neil's like 6'4" and let's say fairly well educated to say the least. But G-Man's right there with him. It's intimidating when you're talking to
Well,
people of that stature.
yeah. Yeah, okay. Can you replay that clip? Because the other 3 points, I was just so blown away by his intellect that I forgot what the other 3 points were that I was going to address.
Okay, let's go.
Now, you people do not take this topic seriously at all. You people are the reason why racism is prevalent here in the United States. Because of your secular humanistic worldviews and your teachings that there are superior races. There's only one race, and that is the human race.
Amen.
Period. And there is a reason why negation of cowardness and Matthew Buffoon didn't want me to bring that up in there. Of the racist events that has been happening in this country, and it was laughed at, and it wasn't taken seriously at all. I brought up the Holocaust. That wasn't taken seriously at all. I brought up slavery in America. That wasn't taken seriously at all.
Okay, I'm going to go in reverse order. The one that he's talking about that is the silliest, of course, is that there's something that he could potentially bring up that we wouldn't want to talk about. You and I have both always sought out the toughest arguments from anyone, anywhere, any apologist, any scholar, any philosopher. It doesn't matter who they are. We have always looked for the best arguments anyone has to make, and we dealt with those, not the low-hanging fruit. Now, the reason that we did this is for fun, not because he actually had arguments that we were afraid to address. And the reason we were laughing at him so much is because of his histrionics.
Right, exactly.
And Gary, you might actually have to look that one up to find out what that means, even though you've probably heard it 3 or 4 dozen times in the last few years. So the next issue is that the racism that's the problem in the U.S. today is because of people like us. So the school system that educates most Americans, the public school system, is a secular system. However, the vast majority, even today, of Americans are Christian. So the influence of any sort of secularism in the U.S., any separation of church and state, goes back to the founding fathers. So if he's insulting us and saying we're the cause of this problem, then he's also taking the same issue with the founding fathers of America and the Constitution.
You could almost say, Matthew, that since we are a Christian nation, because he said that 1,000 times, maybe instead of the evolution belief causing the racism, maybe it could be the Christian belief. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I didn't mean that.
No, we were going to stay away from his religion because that's too easy.
I know that's why I did the little goof there.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous to assign that type of stuff with a overarching and blanket statement, which is exactly what he's doing throughout this entire thing. But
so
we'll get there.
Yeah, I think what he hoped to do until we derailed him with our laugh fest at his expense, he was trying to take atheism and evolution. First of all, there are quite a few Christians who are also acceptors of evolution.
Yeah.
Quite a few. That's something that just seems to get glossed over when you talk to someone who supposedly believes in the Bible. I personally don't believe Gary is a Christian, even though he says he is. He acts as far from being a Christian as just about anybody I've ever seen. But that being said, he equates what is basically any acceptance of modern science as atheistic, when he has a YouTube channel and uses technology every day to preach to his fellow believers, and the product of all of this technology in our secular society is apparently the problem, which we're representative of, and that's what he's attacking. So,
as well as the benefits of evolutionary theory. I mean, you know, everything from his urinary tract infection a couple of years ago. I mean, that's all antibiotics, and that's directly attributable to evolution, at least in part.
well,
But
and
again,
he hurt his back, and that's he had problems with his back a while back, as I remember. And that's another problem with the faulty human engineering, the intelligent design of the human body. Us walking upright the way we do, and how screwed up our back is because it evolved from someone who walked on all fours to walking on two legs.
Again, well, we'll get there, but this is him proving his point.
I brought up
quotes.
Direct quotes from Charles Darwin. I brought up direct quotes from out of The Descent of Man and out of The Origin of Species. And I was given direct quotes from Charles Darwin. And I have my quotes over here about what Darwin said, what Kinsley said, and all these other people who supported evolution.
Right.
Thomas Huxley, who is a supporter of Charles Darwin and the theory of evolution, says no rational mind, cognizant of the facts, believes that the average Negro is equal, still less to the superiority of the white man.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So amazingly, what it seems, and I mean, honestly, this is groundbreaking stuff here, Matthew. G-Man has apparently discovered that people from the 1800s were racist. I mean, who the hell knew that? I'm shocked. That's a great point. Now, how that plays into what happens today, like you kind of mentioned before, you would think that if evolution and the theory was somehow, I guess, contagious, and because you believe in that, you become racist, that the society that now has well over 95, definitely in the upper 90 percentile of all scientists believing in evolution, if you want to call it belief, you would think that the society would be orders of magnitude more racist now than it was back in the 1800s. But it seems like it's gone the other way. So all that him and John seem to prove in that debate is that people from the 1800s, people from the early 1900s, and even up to the 1940s were racist. I know everyone is shocked to hear that, but hey, bravo, G-Man.
Does it have anything to do with the Civil War?
No, because that would have been earlier than these people most of the time. And he'll go on to talk about this transatlantic slave trade and Darwinism, which I didn't realize Darwin had a time machine. So he
wait.
Yeah.
People in the 1800s were racist?
Again, who the hell knew that? I mean, shit, I thought after, I don't know, after 1750, that had been, put to bed and no one. And I mean,
Darwin was racist?
I guess so. And, I don't know. Some people might find that shocking. And even if we steel man that and say that it was the case, which it might have been. And, Huxley damn sure seemed to be that way. And Galt was, I don't think anybody could argue against that.
Okay, so let's follow. Let me just follow this train of logic here. So, somebody who talked about evolution was racist. So evolution is racist.
Can you make that connect? Is that connectable? Because I can't make that connection. I've tried, since the debate. It doesn't seem like the logic follows there.
I can't do it. Maybe you can help me. Okay, so let's see. Okay, rocket science. Rocket science.
Okay, be careful. Your head's going to explode.
Rocket science. I know that's something to do with rockets.
Yep.
Rocket science, like the V2 rocket.
Yep. Oh, I see where you're going. Okay.
Rockets,
Let's see.
rockets.
We can get there now.
The Nazis were
Right.
developing rocket science.
Werner von Braun. Very good. Yep. That's who
That
started it. You're right.
that means that everything that we've ever done in outer space is Nazi.
Well, and yeah, and apparently since we brought all of those Nazi scientists over to help with the Apollo program and literally everything to NASA in the beginning, NASA is probably one of the most racist organizations that the world has ever seen.
It all makes no sense now. I'm trying to make the leap. Trying. It's this close. It's like a spark plug that you just need the little jump across the spark.
Exactly.
And I think we need a little more G-man to help make that spark jump.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm serious. I would really like to be able to get there. He's conflating at this point. If you can still see my screen, what he's reading off here is that, you know, the subtitle to The Origin of Species by means of natural selection is also the preservation of the favored races in the struggle for life. And again, we've got to make this G connection, because when he says favored races, his mind immediately classifies that as racism.
So
and assigned, there you go.
This connection, we need, like string theory, we need a string to go between one point and the other. So I'm going to call that a G string.
Okay.
For G-man. So we need a G string to make
that makes about as much sense as what we're listening to, but keep going. I'll go with you.
Okay. All right. So because Darwin and basically anybody who's ever talked about evolution was a racist, that means that everything in biology, all of life, is racist. So when fish were evolving into amphibians and into lizards, they were all racists?
Apparently.
That's the G string.
Well, but Matthew, here's the problem.
G
See,
string.
when you read favored races, you're missing the point, because Darwin was now that's the thing we got to remember, I guess, because this is the only way I can make the connection. Darwin was very subtle in his verbiage, and he didn't.
No, don't use verbiage. G-man's not going to know what that means.
In his words, in his wordplay.
Okay.
And when he put favored races, everyone knew, apparently except us and most of the scientific community, that favored races actually meant races toward human beings. In other words, the racist he was talking about was the white race, because the white race is the favored race. Now, that it wasn't a statement across the biological spectrum. It was constrained just to humanity and the white race. I'll let you play with that one for a minute.
G string.
So, like I said in the debate, and you'll hear me say later, not understanding even the title of a book doesn't make the book racist. I mean, we'll keep going, because it's entertaining, to say the least.
You got to be careful, because I'm getting scared, because the more things that you say about Darwin, the less faith I have in my evolutionistic worldview.
He's winning, man. He's winning us over. And if we're going to be honest, Matthew, we've got to make sure that if we have to follow the logic wherever it goes. And
I'm stuck on G string.
It's going to be hard to get off that one, I'm sure, but maybe this will help a little bit.
Don't say get off. No.
This one's going to be natural selection. So let's see what he has to say about natural selection.
Oh, okay.
And then I said that I said that what did I say? I said that I compared natural selection with eugenics, right?
Okay, so that's one of the next one. He is taking natural selection and comparing it with eugenics. Now, again, I must be off on my understanding of the definitions of these two words, because eugenics seemed to be non-naturalistic selection. In
Well,
fact, it's literally called artificial selection.
Right, but let's clarify that technically everything on Earth is natural. But I see what you're saying. So natural selection assumes that there is natural
Drivers.
Yeah, that's not coming from people, but
Right.
technically,
Because artificial selection, at least in eugenics case, is picking traits that humans find valuable.
right.
So I pointed this out in the debate, and actually I laughed pretty hard on that one, was when, again, he's conflating natural selection with artificial selection, which you can't do. It would, I don't see how you can, again, make the G-string connection here of those two things being the same. I know. I mean, I'm sorry, man. I can see this is taxing, and your head's getting worse and worse on every one of these points.
I've got 2 brain cells left, and I'm trying to rub them together like butt cheeks with a G-string to connect them. You know, here's the butt cheeks of my brain cells, and I just need a G-string to connect them together. Okay, so
okay.
So wait. So the things that people do are the same as what nature does.
Right.
And since people do something, that means that we do it to nature, and nature has no order of its own. It's all our plan. We have subverted all of the natural world so that we control nature. It all makes sense now. Everything that's ever happened on Earth, every plant, every animal, every organism of every kind, every mitochondria, every leaf and seed pod, all of it, we control it all. Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to get his take on social Darwinism. Again, well, I'll let him speak for himself. I'm not going to.
Yep, they was actually practicing social Darwinism in there. That's what they was actually doing. They were practicing it in there while laughing it off and saying that it wasn't true. The topic is this, okay? Well, regarding the Native American Indians, there was a reason why the settlers wiped them out. They thought that they were superior to the Native Americans. That's why they did it. It had a social Darwinian a vibe to it. Social Darwinism was advocated by Herbert Spencer and others in the late 19th and 20th centuries, and was used to justify political conservatism, imperialism, and racism, and to discourage the intervention and reform.
So what we learned there, again through our all-knowing G, is that now eugenics, natural selection, and social Darwinism are synonymous. Oh, sorry, wrong word. They're all the same. How now, Matthew? I know this is going to be your last. I'm really taxing those last 2 brain cells at this point, and I really hope you don't start bleeding from the ears, because we got to make triple connection here. So I want you to try to walk me through how we can get all 3 of these to conflate to the same definition.
I forgot what the 3, you're going to have to list the 3 for me, because I don't remember what the 3 were.
So we have natural selection, we have eugenics, and we have social Darwinism. So I can see how eugenics and social Darwinism, there could be a connection there. But again, he's looking at all 3 of these as being the same thing. So can you help me? Because he's so far over my head at this point. I don't even feel like I'm on the same planet as him anymore.
Okay. Again, I have my screen blacked out for
Not a problem.
respect for other people around.
Gotcha.
So let's see here. Nature is a thing. Leaves, bushes, cacti. Cacti are shaped like, no. That doesn't get me anywhere near social Darwinism. Okay. Okay, so social Darwinism is something that happens because of Darwin in social places. Yeah?
Right.
And eugenics is something that also happens. And so, okay, so the social thing is social. Yeah, I have a social connection. So now we just have to connect the two socials to natural selection. Social selection. Select. They both start with S. That's it. They both start with S. That's how they're connected. That's the G string.
Okay, I'll go with you, man. So since all of them have an S somewhere in the descriptor, somehow, some way.
Somehow, some way, it's more S's.
The more S's, the more connection. Gotcha.
Yes.
All right. We're getting it down now.
SS. That's it. That's the SS.
Oh, that's where the SS came from.
Hitler and the Nazis. Social and selection, natural selection. It all comes back to Hitler.
And that's a wonderful segue because now we're moving into his claims about Nazis and how Darwin influenced them. All right, so let's hear his take on this, because he apparently is not only a geneticist, a biologist, understands Darwin better than Darwin understood himself, but he's also a world-class historian because he knows the mind of Hitler better than most historians.
Well,
so
he's talked to us, so of course he does.
Exactly. All right, so here we go.
You got to give us a rational, logic. You can sit there and say, I don't understand what the word rational means or what it means to be logical. You can say that to your blue in the face. I want a direct answer.
My shirt's blue.
I want a direct answer on why Adolf Hitler decided that the Aryan race was superior to that of the Jews in Nazi Germany. This is disgusting that you people thought this was funny. So you notice that they didn't want to talk about the Holocaust. They didn't want to talk about why Adolf Hitler.
Oh, he's going to be so mad that we paused the video right there. I actually have a good reason for pausing it right there, because one, you addressed this point in the debate. As I said, there's nothing that was brought up that we didn't address. You brought up that Hitler was Mein Kampf, took a lot of inspiration from the writings of Martin Luther, and didn't once reference Charles Darwin. Now, his actual reason for believing that the Aryans were better than the Jews came directly from Martin Luther, and how that all fed from the Protestant Reformation and Martin Luther's impact on German society and the concept of Aryans being better than everyone else. That's exactly where it came from. So he wants a direct answer. There's your direct answer. But the idea of Aryans being better than Jews definitely came from Martin Luther. And that's what he doesn't want to hear.
Well, and 2 points on this. One, I know I'm old, and I know my memory's definitely not what it used to be, but I could have sworn that we literally had I believe it was almost 2-hour discussion with a biblical scholar on this specific topic back a couple of years ago. Landon Mosley and he's very, let's say, proficient in his understanding of history. So that is on at least my channel, and I think it's on yours as well. And then the second point is and part of that discussion was while Hitler thought that he could breed in and out, the problem is if you look at where man was created and how man was created, it was not an evolutionary progression from the apes. Hitler in no way, shape, or form believed that. In fact, he thought every race of man was created independently, and the white race was, of course, the superior race, and any interbreeding would muddy the races. So, and all of those races were divinely created. This was not in any way a natural occurrence. God created all the races independent.
But none of what you just said had anything to do with how evolution actually works.
What?
That's the problem, and that's what G-Man seems to think is his trump card. Ooh. I just made another connection.
Okay, how are you getting? Here you go. Let's go with that big brain. Show me. How are you getting back to number one, a creationist using evolutionary theory to derive, number one, separating races, and then having the races all come back together into one big mudblood, whatever they call people that have actually don't care about race at all. Careful, man. I don't want you to have an aneurysm here on camera.
My head's not overheating yet. Okay. What's evolution again?
Well, from a scientific perspective.
No, not scientific perspective. What's Hitler say about evolution? Oh, that's right.
Hitler doesn't say anything about evolution.
He didn't say anything about it. Okay, so, well, that doesn't work.
In fact, he burned the books that had evolution in them.
Well, that doesn't make any sense then, because G-Man disagrees. I don't know why I'm calling him Jerry. I just, was trying so hard to use the G-string force to connect that I took Gary and G-Man and Jerry.
You're making all kinds of G connections tonight, man. This is good. These G strings are going everywhere.
G-string. Okay, so let's get back to the actual point G-Man was trying to make about Hitler.
Gotcha.
Okay, so we start out with evolution being bullshit. That's right. A given. And Hitler and racism. Hitler and racism. Evolution's bullshit. But atheists and secular people and anyone who's not G-Man, all of those people.
You got 4 strings working at this time. I don't know how you.
No. There's only 2 strings. There's only 2 strings, technically.
Okay.
There's one string between these 2 fingers, and there's one string that connects these 3 fingers. I'm getting it. I'm getting it. Okay, so Hitler couldn't have been Christian. There's no way he could have been Christian, of course. So that's out.
Well, again, based on historical records, I think that might be a little harder to disprove than at first thought.
Okay.
I mean, God with us on all of the belt buckles kind of speaks to that. Him being in bed with Martin Luther, especially from the Protestant side, kind of speaks to that.
Hitler got in bed with Martin Luther?
Figuratively, don't. I mean, I know that G-Man doesn't understand figurative and analogy, but what I mean is he he had the same thoughts as Martin Luther. Or
Wait
he believed,
a second. Wait a second. I know you mentioned something about G-Man having gay thoughts.
Let's
And he
not.
said
Right.
that that's just a rumor.
Well,
But if Martin Luther is in bed with Hitler,
don't put it anymore. Now, dude, you're becoming the devil, because remember, every video that G-Man has put out on this topic himself, remember, is stating that the devil is putting those thoughts in his head, and every straight man goes through these struggles anyway. Now, somehow I must be immune to the devil because I haven't had those.
so he's agreeing with me.
I guess. I don't know.
He's G-Man actually said that Martin Luther was and Hitler were thinking about having sex with each other.
I don't know if we could get there, man. Let's go to the next one before your heads explode, because you're really starting to
Wait. There is video proof that he said that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's not just a rumor.
No.
That's
well,
a factual
if it's a rumor,
claim.
if it's a rumor, he started the rumor. So
Okay.
it might be a rumor, but it was started by G-Man.
Okay.
So
I'm not into the idea of two guys getting together and having doing things with each other sexually. As far as me doing any of that kind of stuff, I fill my mind with the Word of God. I retain God in my thoughts on this particular topic. And the Holy Spirit was constantly reminding me about God's Word, and it keeps me away from that.
But were Hitler and Darwin in bed together?
Don't know.
Hitler, Darwin, and Martin Luther had a threesome.
Well, I think from a temporal standpoint, that might be hard to pull off. But again, maybe we
Don't say
have
hard
that
to pull
time
off.
machine. Oh, sorry. From a time perspective, when each one of them lived, that might be kind of tough to pull off. But
don't say tough to pull off. And just any pulling off. Just let's not go there.
Gotcha. All right. So
maybe we should just progress with the video.
I hear you, because I think we're getting a little off the rabbit trail. All right, so
once you start with the innuendo, it's kind of hard to stop.
Exactly.
Once you get moving with that innuendo, it just wants to keep on going until there's nothing left to pump out of it.
All right, so this one, I think, if I remember right, is from his.
Okay, I would just like to point out again for our viewers, if there are any viewers, if anybody bothers to watch this long, that G-Man made 5 responses to our debate
in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, because he was so upset about winning.
Well, he was upset that we were laughing at him. Or well, no, sorry, I got to be clear. To be clear, I'm laughing at G-Man like the rest of the planet. I would never, like I did in that debate, as soon as it became a serious topic about race, all levity left the room. It was very serious at that point. The laughing, the ridicule is 100% toward G-Man, just like it is on every other channel. Just because, again, he can't understand that doesn't mean that is not the case.
But it's so obvious. The only reason you're attacking G-Man is because he's right and you're afraid of him being right and you're trying to silence him.
Okay, so now we're at the actual debate, and for brevity's sake, we're just going to do the openings.
Don't say brevity.
Why?
Because he's not going to know what it means.
Okay, to make it short enough that people actually want to watch this, including G-Man, but again, with his attention span, he checked out after the first sentence. So
I don't know which is shorter, his height or his attention span.
Be careful, because remember, he's almost 6 feet, so he's not short. He's at least average size. Anyway,
almost 6 feet.
That's I think he's gone from, at one point somebody said like 5'6", and now he's claiming 5'10" or 5'11" or something. Which again, who cares?
I'm 9 feet tall, by the way.
You are? I mean, I know. I married you. I know how tall you are.
You didn't marry me, okay?
Okay, I married you to your wife. I was the officiant. That'll work. But anyway, so now we're at the actual debate.
Evil atheist.
I know. I'm hoping y'all make more. You go out, go out and be fruitful and multiply.
There we go.
But so to try to keep this as short as possible, we're just going to start with the opening statements and our reactions to it. We may come back and do another video going through the back and forth, because the back and forth was pretty fun. And there are some things in there that were, let's say, entertaining to say the least. Not to mention that it was so funny that everybody except G-Man was laughing. And the first person to bring up low-hanging fruit was his partner. No one else brought that up except his partner. So when your
And if you'll
partner
notice, he commented on us calling him low-hanging fruit for the rest of the debate, but
right.
we weren't the ones who said that.
No, it was it's again, it's entertaining when your own partner that's supposed to be, I guess on your side, identifies kind of who you are. But anyway, so
I think I
let's
just
get into
figured
this.
something out. Hold on,
What's
just
that?
one sec. I just my two brain cells just figured something out. I got it.
Okay.
When G-Man talks,
Right.
his ears don't work.
That is probably the most accurate G-string connection you've made tonight.
That's the connection.
All right. And
That's
I think,
why. That's it.
You got it. So, all right. So let's go ahead. We're going to play this. And again, you'll see, I cut a lot of his opening statement out. But guys, seriously, if you want to hear the debate, please go over to James's channel. It's a great channel, and we need to support it as much as possible. He has great discussions on there. This definitely was not one of those, but we need more discourse that's serious and good. And I can't think of a better place right now. So please go to Modern Day Debates, watch it. I think Matthew has a copy up on his channel. I'll probably put one up in the next month or so, just to make sure that I can push some more people over there. The little bit that I can help, I'm going to. With that said, let's see what this debate was about.
Evolution supports racism. And if you don't believe me, go read The Origin of Species. Oh, actually, that's not the real title. It's called The Origin of Species by Means of...
Already? Really?
Yes. The title of the debate is Evolution Racist, not Does Evolution Support Racism?
Well, you're saying the same thing. What are you talking about?
No. You're either equating or talking about cause and effect. And that's something that's too complicated for a G-man. So,
and if you notice, I'm already entertained. He's 3 words into it, and I'm already smiling.
Because you realize, what people who weren't in this call don't realize is that we had already gone through all the buffoonery before the debate even started, and we saw what a shit show this was going to be ahead of time. So I just like to point out that the first 3 words out of first 4 words out of his mouth are, does evolution support racism? And
which is, well, we'll get to it later. So
that's he's already sent us off right there, because it's not the point of the debate. Now, he may have thought it was, and that is just, I'm gonna, you know what, I'm gonna give him the benefit of a doubt and assume that he thought the debate was about that. So
okay, all right.
I just want to point out it's not the same thing. Anyway, go ahead.
I hear you.
Of natural selection or the preservation of favored races in the struggle for life. Stephen J.
So 12 minutes later.
All right. So evolution teaches that only the strong survives. In their form of natural selection that they're teaching with the social.
And at this point, me and you are both going, "Oh my, please shut up."
Only the strong survives is not evolution.
You got it.
This is because something can be very weak and still be perfectly fine and flourish. A mosquito doesn't have any strength whatsoever. It's got just enough strength to push its little thing. I don't know enough about mosquitoes to
Matthew,
tell you what
do
it's
me a
called.
favor.
Proboscis.
Do me a favor real quick. I don't want to turn around. So what does it say on the wall behind me?
It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. So
Who said that
saying that
again?
only Charles Darwin.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
that was Jeeves. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, Jesus didn't say that one. No. Oh, I think Jesus said something about the weak inheriting the earth. Maybe he was an
There you
evolutionist.
go. But the weak are the most subject to change. So
Okay,
again,
what about
the Bible proves itself.
the ants are not strong, are they?
Yes, they are. They're stronger than us per body weight,
But you can squish them like this.
but they're strong relative to their size, Matthew.
I wouldn't say they're strong. Maybe compared to G-Man, they're strong, but they're not.
No, that would be intellectually strong.
That's debatable. Literally, it's debatable. We could have a debate about that.
We could. You're right.
Anyway. But
right.
I just like to point out that that is a common saying that has been very, prevalent throughout our cultural history, that only the strong survive, survival of the fittest, and only the strong survive. They are both colloquial explanations of aspects of evolution that aren't actually true as far as evolution is concerned. Anyway.
Yep. And then the big problem is like I said before, in that some people, I think we've got a really good example here, don't understand the difference between those two sayings. So anyhow, let's keep going.
Social Darwinism is eugenics, and this stuff was.
So now he goes to social Darwinism and eugenics straight away after trying to talk about survival of the fittest.
So okay, as much fun as my G-string antics are, I'm genuinely trying to get inside G-Man's head and see why that follows directly from natural selection. How he thinks that because something is better or stronger, that has something to do with eugenics. So if what we come back to is nature doing something and people wanting something to happen. So people wanting something to happen is what results in eugenics, the actions of people, which is intelligent design, versus what nature wants to happen. Oh, sorry. Do you have an epiphany you want to share?
I think, yes, my G-string has snapped into place, apparently.
All hail the G-string.
So here's the thing. Whereas people like us, heathens, don't see purpose in nature, G-Man knows that God has purpose in nature. Therefore, evolution must have purpose and must be guided.
Okay, so is he saying that Darwin that we're trying to replace God with Darwin, and we're assuming that Darwin has the same power as God?
I hope not, but what I'm trying to get at the point of is that when the guidance of nature is on survivability and environmental pressures, that's the only guidance that natural selection has. There's no purpose. There's no ultimate purpose, even in humanity's evolution. G-Man looks at it on the other side of the fence, in that everything has purpose. Therefore, even evolution must have purpose. So everything is eugenics because God is creating everything the way he wants to.
Okay, now it all makes sense, because I'm not being facetious here. I'm sorry. I'm not making a joke. I used facetious.
I know.
I'm not making a joke. I have been genuinely trying to figure out how his nonsensical, incoherent ramblings come about. And the way that it's happened is that he's assuming evolution is nonsense and false. And the only thing to evolution is what atheists and any Christian who calls himself a Christian and believes in evolution, which also makes them an atheist in his book. How anyone who accepts atheism and evolution and all of the secular, godless crap that he doesn't, all of that is something that he is assuming is bullshit from the start. So since he's assuming it's bullshit, he's not trying to make it coherent. He's not trying to make sense of it in his head. He's just firing off basically sound bites of what non-believers and people who accept the fact of evolution say, including Darwin. The thing that, because I'm trying to actually make sense of G-Man's point, it all starts with the fact that he's assuming evolution is bullshit, and the only thing that evolution represents is what atheists and people who accept evolution say. So since it's not coming from God, it's not true, according to him, if he is indeed actually a Christian, and he is looking at things from a Christian viewpoint, which is highly questionable, then everything from atheism and evolution, any secular point that is non-theistic, he is not making any effort to understand it.
That makes sense, at least somewhat. I mean,
so it's all
as good as anything
incoherent.
else.
It's all incoherent to him. So his regurgitation of it, I'm sure he'll know what that word means. His regurgitation of it doesn't make sense either, because it doesn't make sense to him. So it's a failure on his part to understand the viewpoint and the argument that's being presented to him.
What you mean?
So he can't make it make sense because it doesn't make sense to him.
So G-Man doesn't know how to steelman an argument. That's what you're telling me?
Yes. Yes, I'm absolutely saying. I don't even think he could intentionally strawman an argument. He can only unintentionally strawman it, because he only understands misunderstanding or misrepresentations of a coherent, reasonable argument.
Okay. All right. So let's see the rest of this.
Okay. So because I've done that a few times now.
Yeah. Just go back to
G-strings.
All right. Let's finish this up.
One of the first things that G-Man said was that evolution is a philosophy, which is incorrect. Philosophy has to do with thinking about things, not studying them with the scientific method. The genetic fallacy is what all of this is being based on. It's we seem to be obfuscating the entirety of biology in favor of the beliefs of one person who studied biology. Anything that Charles Darwin believed, it has nothing to do with how people feel about eugenics or social Darwinism. Anything that people do in society and beliefs that they hold is completely separate. All right?
That's a very important point.
Whether or not something actually occurs in science, and has been occurring since before humans were even on Earth, that can't be racist if there are no races, because it was happening before people were people. So that is the biggest problem here. I believe that G-Man said that Darwinism, evolution, is why we had slavery in the United States. Darwin only lived in the 1800s, and slavery's been around since 1500s, 1600s. So the opposite of a straw man argument is a steel man argument. Let's say that Darwin was a racist through and through, and he hated people of different races. Let's just say that's true. That doesn't have anything to do with whether or not evolution is the case in biology. Nothing. How people want to use it, such as in eugenics, it's funny that you brought up Hitler, but I'll let Ned play with that one. That's nonsense, like everything else I've heard. Anyway, that's all I have. See, the thing is that he comes back and says that we didn't address any of his points in our opening statements or in the rebuttals and everything. He said we were only making fun of him, but I just responded to his to everything, and you responded to everything. The debate was already over by this point.
And I mean, so yeah, again, you're absolutely right. Every one of your statements put everything. I didn't need to say anything at this point. And that's why I kind of, let's just play, and that'll show why I went the way I went.
What I say is that just because someone doesn't understand a book doesn't make it racist. This is as ridiculous as claiming that F equals MA is racist, or better yet, because Alan Turing was gay, then all mathematics is gay. I mean, I'm sorry, but wow, motherfucking wow. I mean, I don't even know where to start. He went from square one and completely jumped off topic, trying to bring Darwin's beliefs into evolution. It's a scientific theory. It has nothing to do with the person who posed it or their beliefs. A theory is either validated or invalidated by the scientific method and the testing that follows. Now, if you want to go into eugenics, well, yeah, that's not Darwin. Darwin never taught eugenics. It was literally his cousin, Francis Galton, and again, as irrelevant as this is, yeah, he was a Christian. In fact, in the first 3 centuries of the 19th century, the most enthusiastic,
I think you meant to say
proponents
decades
of eugenics were in the United States, and they were Christian evangelicals. Now, again, that has nothing to do with the damn topic. It's ridiculous to even bring that shit up because it's a non sequitur.
Which is a logical fallacy.
Absolutely. And
one of 1,000 from that debate.
Yep.
Go.
You really need to learn when you come into a debate and you choose the topic, maybe actually understand how to flip and stay on topic. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I want to concede the rest of the time because the cross on this is going to be entertaining, to say the least.
Yep. And then we go into the cross exam, and if we want to get into that, we'll make another video because
I don't think it's necessary, and frankly, I really don't want to listen to G-Man anymore because we've heard all of his shit, and now that we have at least my understanding of it now I've deciphered how he sees things, and he doesn't see our positions as coherent, even though you and I have put so much effort over the years into figuring out how to explain things in a very clear, concise, articulated way. You've been teaching for my entire adult life. You've been a teacher. So you know how to explain things so that people will understand. I have dedicated a lot of my life as an adult, say 10 to 15 years now, doing my best to figure out how to explain things in ways that anybody can understand. And yet, he is either intentionally refusing to figure it out or unable to figure it out. And not only that, but accusing us of not communicating the very thing that we're talking about.
Well, and I think
I said at one point, I explained it on a 9th grade level. Do you want me to explain it on a 2nd grade level? Yeah. Which is exactly the problem.
Well, no, see, and that is the problem, because even if you could or would have broken it down into the 2nd graders, I was going to use vernacular, their way of speaking and comprehension, it doesn't matter because you hit the nail on the head. As much as I think that G-Man can't understand certain topics, the biggest problem is he does not want to understand certain topics.
Right.
It will, at a fundamental level, if he starts to allow these cracks to form in his bedrock of godliness and his faith, that it's going to start to erode. And I mean, we've had this discussion probably 100 times over the 10 or 20 years that we've known each other. In that the religious faith does not go all. It's not one argument that usually shatters it. It is a slow erosion of, okay, this doesn't work now, but I'm going to find something to support my faith on the other end. And then that one gets knocked down. And sooner or later, it gets to the point where, how can I believe this anymore? I have nothing left to stand on. And I think he, like a lot of Christians, and I don't mean this pejoratively, but they're scared of losing that in their life. It defines who they are. It makes them feel purposeful. And like I've said before, who wouldn't want to believe that the most important and the most powerful being that has ever existed or ever could exist literally loves them and has a plan just for them? If I believe that, it would be hard to get rid of. So yeah, I'm going to avoid anything I can that would erode that belief. And I think that's where he's stuck. Now, on the other hand, I don't think he can grasp these subjects either. And he's such a little shit that it's fun to make fun of him because we know how much of a moral person he is. But again, we won't get down that rabbit hole, or we definitely will be here for another 2 hours.
I know for a fact the G-Man understands what a straw man argument is. I know for a fact he understands what that is, which means that he understands a distortion of facts. He understands what that means. So he should be able to understand what steel manning is, which is the opposite of distorting the facts. Steel manning is taking what someone says and assuming, okay, I'll give you that, it's true. Let's go from there. That's what he can't make the bridge from doing that to saying, okay, let's say you're right. We do. That is where we operate from. Let's say you're right and go from there. He is afraid to even attempt to figure out critical thinking skills. He's afraid of those tools, using those tools to look at the world. And I was going to use a very long word, but he is really, really afraid of what people say that might test his faith, if he has any. I'm going to give him the benefit of a doubt, say he does have faith, and he is just terrified that someone is going to shake it with a fact. So he just has never taught himself how to use critical thinking, and that is the problem when it comes to try to talk to him.
And to wrap this up, all I have to say is all that culminates in him being laughable. And I want to end this by doubling down on what we started from. We are not laughing at the subject matter. We, like everyone else, are laughing at G-Man and his ridiculous antics and unwillingness to, and maybe inability to actually hold a coherent conversation. It is, I'm sorry, but it's entertaining. And
I believe in laughing at things which are harmful. Absolutely. When people propose them as ideas, you should, because you don't want them to become accepted topics of discussion for a comparative reality to what's actually there.
Right. Ridicule is a tool just like any other. It can be used for good or bad. By tearing down ridiculous arguments, by putting people that want to perpetuate ignorance into a state of embarrassment, I feel that's a good thing. And therefore, that's how it should be. And especially when it gets to the point where he keeps calling, when you're winning because somebody is, you're just saying that they're stupid, or you give a pejorative and therefore they're wrong.
Ad hom. He doesn't even know what an ad hom is.
Exactly. An ad hom or ad hoc attack, or ad hominem attack, because we're not claiming victory because you're dumb.
Right. Okay. And to
And-
put that into simpler words for G-Man, if we were actually using an ad hominem, we would be saying, G-Man, your argument is wrong because you're an idiot.
Yep.
If we just say, G-Man, you're an idiot, that's an insult, not an ad hom.
Or an observation, depending on the circumstance.
Right. So when we actually address your argument, dismantle your argument, and then call you an idiot, that's called a refutation plus kicking your ass in a debate.
And literally ridiculing the shit out of you. So I hope when you watch this, G-Man, you enjoy it as half as much as me and Matthew did in making it.
And G-Man, we actually really like you. No, we don't. But you're fun to watch. So
Absolutely.
keep doing what you're doing because you're a great example to other people for how they shouldn't behave.
All right, that's it, man.
All right. I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good one.
All right, bud. Thanks for doing this. This was fun.
Yeah, it was. Bye.
Bye. Good night, everybody. Thanks for watching.